Welcome everyone to this online information webinar about our challenge for the AI-High Performance Computing DeepHack that will take place from May 13th to 15th in Berlin. My name is Anne and I will be your host for this hackathon. And for this meeting, I'll be handling most of the communication with you, potential participants, for this event. The point of today is to go through some practicalities about how to register and familiarize yourself more with the expectation and the program. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So we are going to start by having presentations from our main organizing partners, which are EIT Digital and AI-High and Huawei. And then I will take back the hosting and cover more practical things about the timeline, how to register, build your team, specificities about the event, and our next steps together. And of course, at the end of this meeting, we have reserved time for some Q&A with our challenge partners, so you can ask your questions and make sure you're on top of things and can submit to the best project ID and improve your chances of being selected as a participant on the hackathon. So our first partner is EIT Digital, and we are with us Mirko Tadic, who has a couple words for you.
Well, hello from me as well. My name is Mirko Tadic, and I am leading risk venture and DeepHack programs at EIT Digital. Let me tell you a few words about EIT Digital, which is an organization created and supported by the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, or the EIT. We have a very unique pan-European multi-stakeholder open innovation ecosystem, which lies on partnership between European corporations, SMEs, startups, universities, and research institutes. And it is a platform where students, researchers, engineers, business developers, and investors address the needs of digital entrepreneurship. We invest in strategic areas to accelerate the market uptake and the scaling up of research-based digital technologies across 5 focus areas: digital tech, digital cities, digital industry, digital well-being, and digital finance. Since our launch, we equipped around 3,000 people with skills to innovate and become entrepreneurs, and we have supported more than 500 startups. The DeepHack program we have started in 2018, and it's been a part of our stand-up, startup, scale-up approach and very first point in entrepreneurial support panel. We have covered a variety of topics in past DeepHacks, from 3D printing and traffic congestion to creating application stores for POS terminals, as well as urban logistics topics and food supply chain themes. DeepHack hackathons focus on deep tech digital innovation, and they are a way to explore opportunities for companies to quickly solve challenges and to tap into the talent pool of highly qualified and motivated experts. And for you, for the participants, this gives the possibility to test your skills, test your approach and application, apply them to relevant and current issues, and also get in touch with potential customers maybe or stakeholders, and establish a relationship that does not often end with the hackathon. For the upcoming event, we at EIT Digital and OpenEdge and HPC initiative, we are organizing this DeepHack to facilitate development of strong AI ecosystem. We know that data has become the both most abundant and most valuable resource in today's business world. There's a recent study that says that the world generated or replicated and estimated, and let me get a read of it here, 64.2 zettabytes of data in 2020 alone. And the forecasted growth of this number is 23%, so almost a quarter. year through year until 2025. And this data comes in all shapes and sizes, from social media posts to readings from sensors on industrial machinery or IoT. And this abundance of data available to decision makers can be either noise that drowns out the important information or invaluable source of insight. And then artificial intelligence and machine learning are becoming increasingly important for businesses to distinguish between the two. And there are several ways where high performance computing system can contribute to development of artificial intelligence. Some of them, for example, are availability of specialized processors and speed enabled by parallel processing and co-processing, which significantly speeds up computational processes. Then the volume in terms of amounts of storage and memory, which enables you to run longer analysis and processes with significant volumes of data, then efficiency, and of course, cost. And as both technologies develop, we are somehow coming to convergence of HPC and AI, where these two technologies are employed for the purpose of aiding each other. AI can gain the speed, it needs to become smarter, and high performance computing can gain smart capabilities needed to provide much better results. Combined with big data, I just talked about, AI gets the data it needs to learn using a particular deep learning model. HPC helps an AI algorithm go through the data faster. These added capabilities can help improve AI applications in numerous fields. So, because of all this, I'm excited to see you and what you intend to do in this field, and starting with this upcoming DeepHack. It's also an opportunity for you to test and improve your applications in HPC setting, to meet knowledgeable mentors and advisors you can approach and ask them questions and give them, let them give feedback on your ideas and innovation. So let's continue with the introductions, and good luck with your proposals for the DeepHack.
Thank you, Mirko. Now we are going to move on for the presentation of our second partner, who is OEHI, Open Age HPC Initiative. And we have with us Lucas, who is a representative of Huawei, a member of said initiative.
So, good evening and welcome to this webinar for the DeepHack on HPC plus AI. I'm Lucas, and we will walk you through our introduction to this DeepHack and answer your questions. So the hackathon will take place on the 13th of May for 3 days in Berlin, and is organized together with the Open Edge and HPC Initiative, as well as the European Institute of Innovation and Technology and Huawei. So what is the goal? So what we would like to do is to empower you with the resources and know-how to explore the world of HPC plus AI for your application. Now I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of what we have planned and what resources there are and so on. So we're going to start with what's in it for you, why should you participate. Going to introduce OEHI and EIT Digital and what their vision is. Then I'll explain what hardware and software resources will be available. Then what an ideal outcome is, so what is a good use case, what are the expectations, and ultimately what the next steps are for you if you would like to participate. So what's in it for you? So during the hackathon, you will get access to a compute cluster and you will get expert advice. For those who win the hackathon, there will be an Atlas 500 Edge station, which I'm going to introduce a bit better later on. And third, You will get access to cluster and advice not only during the hackathon itself, where the idea is to get quickly to a minimum demonstrator, but rather you will get access to 3 months or even longer if that's needed, and that's around 150,000 euros worth of compute power, and this is not just for the winner here. Good. So with that, we hope you can then ultimately build like a minimum viable product, maybe run more extensive evaluations on your own larger data set than what you are able to do during the hackathon. Make maybe your own software that you might already have cluster scalable and tested. So that could also be a goal for you during this hackathon. So we are quite open to all these. Now, I want to explain a bit more the motivation of all the participants and sponsors of this event. So on one side, there is the Open Edge and HPC initiative. So their purpose is to foster the development of an open and feature-rich ecosystem for ARM and RISC-V based technology, specifically in Europe. And there's a wealth of organizations who come together under this name, from universities and academia, like KTH and the Barcelona Supercomputing Center, to organizations that have come out of European projects like SciPearl, as well as industry partners such as ARM or Huawei. Then there is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. So that's actually part of the European Union. And their vision is to become the leading European initiative that empowers innovators and entrepreneurs to develop world-class solutions to societal challenges and create growth and skilled jobs. What this actually means, if you break it down, is they want to provide the tools to foster innovation and entrepreneurship in Europe, and also increase Europe's competitiveness and economic growth in the field. And it takes many partners to do so. So it takes a village to build an ecosystem. And in this context, Huawei contributes ARM-based HPC hardware and software to achieve the overall mission of building like a connected and intelligent world. Okay, so what specific resources will be available for you during this hackathon? So on one side there is, or on the main side, there is this HAIC-GU cluster that's hosted by the Goethe Universität in Frankfurt. This consists of 28 nodes, and each node is one of these many core ARM servers. So they are powered by 2 CPUs, 64 cores each, running at 2.6 GHz, based on the ARM v8 architecture. Then they have plenty of RAM, 128 gigabytes, in rather small on rather small DIMMs, such that they can provide a large bandwidth and a fast interconnect between the nodes, specifically 100 gigabit per second InfiniBand links. Good, so this means you have an aggregate memory size of 3.6 terabytes and memory bandwidth of over 10 terabytes per second, and around 3,500 cores available for you to work with. Besides this main cluster, there are 2 additional nodes. One is an AI training node. It's based on the Atlas 800 Model 9000. This one provides 1 terabyte of RAM, so you can load large data sets to RAM. You have 8 cards, where each has 32 gigabytes of HBM2E memory, where the working state is kept for TNN training, and the whole machine provides around 2.2 petaflops of performance for your deep learning training needs, and plenty of fast non-volatile storage as well. And the last component of the overall resources is the AI inference node. That is particularly interesting if you plan to look into, let's say, splitting also workload between the cloud or an HPC center and edge nodes that you might have also on end user devices, and where you really want to scale up inference as well. Good. So while the ARM-based cluster is quite straightforward and might be closer to what you're used to, I want to quickly just introduce the Atlas devices. So we have two different chips, the Ascent 310 as well as the Ascent 910. So that the top row of devices is all based on the Ascent 310. That's our inference device. You see on the top right, that's the Atlas 500 AI Edge Station that you can win. That provides 16 tera operations per second of int8 inference capability in the range of 25 to 40 watts power. It also is connected through Wi-Fi or LTE inside. Has some memory for your inference task and can also encode and decode video in real time. And it's fan-free, so this can actually be a fun device to really try some true edge AI and connect it also to the cloud if further analysis is needed. Then we have the AI inference server, which is based on the same chip. So all of these devices are based on the inference chip, the inference card, of which we have 5 in the AI server that we provide. That one has 4 devices also per inference card, so plenty of chips and plenty of inference compute power. The training server has 8 of the training chips inside, plus 4 of the Compeng Compeng CPUs. So these are the same CPUs that you have in the cluster itself. And there are other products just as the full training cluster, but that's a bit out of scope of this. Good. So to go on to the goal of OEHI in this context and what they provide. So you want to realize application use cases across a range of systems from edge to cloud to on-premises. We also want to foster the ARM ecosystem, so porting, optimizing, benchmarking applications on our Compeng Taishan platform. We also focus on this HPC plus AI convergence. And so this is both on one side HPC for AI, but also AI for traditional HPC applications, so simulation, modeling, and so on. In our case, based on the Atlas platform, maybe also the MindSpore software framework, although it also works with TensorFlow and PyTorch. The next is we want to promote the ecosystem for open solutions, such like OpenGauss. So this is a database, also Open Euler, or MindSpore, or the Bicheng compiler. So Bicheng compiler is an optimized compiler for our ARM processors. We also have, in addition to the cluster and compute resources I mentioned before, a storage system attached to the cluster. That's an Ocean Store Pacific device, which can perform really high bandwidth I/O that you might need for your HPC applications to load the data, to exchange data, to store results fast. And last, we want to support independent software vendors and open source developers in porting and optimizing their application. So this is the overall goal. And there are a lot of parts that come into this ecosystem. On the bottom you see the hardware, but there is also the lower levels of software from the operating system and file system through middleware to cluster management and ultimately the HPC AI applications. So we're really interested in all of this stack, and you will most likely contribute on the highest level here. So building European HPC plus AI applications. What is the ideal outcome and what would be a good use case for you to work on? So you should consider the efficient use of HPC resources. Ultimately, how much faster does it run? I wrote right now in the sense that at the end of the hackathon compared to a single node. And scalability. So does the solution scale well to larger clusters? That might be also scaling beyond what we can do within the hackathon, more conceptually later on, maybe even to larger clusters or to some sort of cloud edge distributed system. Then innovation. Is it a minimum platform port, or is it a completely new creative application or method? And impact, can it impact society, an industry branch? And last, progress. So please keep in mind that you have limited time during the hackathon. How far can you get with the implementation with that time? And then also, of course, you will have the additional few months of resources if you want to develop it further. So what would be a good use case? So if you have a large data set to analyze, for example, you can just load it into memory, distribute it across the cluster. There are quite some nice tools for that. So Dask is one framework that integrates with many of your well-known frameworks such as Pandas, scikit-learn, XGBoost, and so on. Or you might have a need to run a complex physics, chemistry, and so on simulation. Maybe you also want to combine it with some learned method for initialization or for a good initial guess before iterative refinement. That would be a great use case. I think one of the most versatile cases is where you know how a system behaves. So you have maybe a simulation model, but you don't know yet how to control it or how to optimally operate it. And so we can use reinforcement learning, in which case we can run many simulated environments in parallel, or you can also have your simulation environment scaled to many cores or many nodes as well. So there we have RLib that can help us. Or maybe you need to visualize a huge amount of data to gain further insight. Visualizing very large data sets is also quite challenging. And also here, such a compute cluster can really help you do so rapidly. And last, maybe you just have your favorite open source tool that you want to use, and you want to see how this can be done. How can we spend a weekend trying to improve its performance in a scale-out way on a scale-out cluster? Maybe one that's even has been sort of scaled out to multiple cores, or even a cluster based on a different technology. All right. So because this was all a bit vague, I want to just give one specific example to, let's say, and start with its motivation. So compilers, code, and so on right now are mostly optimized for x86-based platforms and a reasonably short execution time, like for the compiler itself. And then services effectively run 24/7 on often ARM-based cloud instances, or at least increasingly ARM-based cloud instances. So it would be cool if we could really optimize for ARM, and if we could really spend more time optimizing than the compiler provides by default, if we want to compile it and then run it for months on end. So let's learn to optimize the compiler flags and passes. How much can we gain over LLVM with at the highest optimization level if we customize these compiler steps. So here, the project would look like that you create an RL gym for compilers. I'm sure there is also code out there, or it's rather simple to wrap the compiler and its compiler arguments inside of one of these reinforcement learning gyms, simulating the device. Then you can set up the reinforcement learning environment, define optimization criteria, and run evaluations on some benchmark code base. Why would such a project be a good fit? Well, it can be quite impactful. So finding good build recipes for popular applications that run data centers could save maybe 5 to 10% of time, of energy, and also reduce the environment footprint. Scalability, so reinforcement learning needs simulation environments, and these can scale quite easily. I think here it's very clear. You might have a larger application that takes a few minutes to compile. If we can scale this out and run many of the reinforcement learning simulations in parallel, this scales very well. And achievability, such a project can quite easily get the first version at least running during the hackathon, and then can improve later on if this is of interest. Good. But I just want to stress again, this is only an example. We would like to encourage everyone to pursue their own vision, their own problems, especially if you're a small business or plan to start a small business. Please work on the problems that you see fit. But we're also happy to explore this direction with you, or any other directions that you might have, if your goal is just to get some hands-on experience on HPC plus AI. So to summarize, on this VTS hackathon, you can get access to serious computer resources and expert advice, and not just during the hackathon, but also beyond for a few months, or if your project takes a bit longer than 3 months, we can definitely accommodate that. Explore what HPC plus AI can do for your use case, maybe build a demonstrator for your startup, or contribute to the open source community. And ultimately, it's also a learning event. You can get some hands-on experience scaling out an application on an HPC cluster. And if everything works out for your team, you can win a quite powerful edge AI inference device. So sign up for the hackathon and join us on the 13th of May in Berlin. So now we're open to answer your questions. You can raise any uncertainties you might have, and don't worry, don't hesitate. You can only gain asking questions, and there's nothing to lose, really.
That's very true, Lucas. Thank you for the presentation. So here you have it. On this hackathon, we welcome any type of team that already has an AI application and would like to improve it. If you don't have already an application but would still like to join, we could provide one for you to develop and improve during the hackathon. That's definitely an option. But it would be so much better for you to already improve what you have and take advantage of this amazing opportunity and access to technology the hackathon is providing for you. Now I'm going to cover some more practical things about the hackathon, dates, etc. So right now we are April 21st, so we are in the second part of the registration period. You have until May 3rd to complete your application. So what I mean by this is going on at the hackathon webpage, and there you can log in and create a profile for yourself, saying a bit who you are, what type of skills you have, and you can also submit an ID. So basically you can submit what your AI application is about, in a couple of words, and what you would like to work on to improve it, and how the technology provided could really help you, and what you would like to do with it during the hackathon. This way we have a better idea what you want to work on, and we can provide better support for you during the hackathon and see if it's a good fit. We will show and demonstrate just after this how to actually do the registration if you're a bit lost or you haven't found your way around on the registration platform. But it's quite straightforward. Once the registration period has ended, teams will be selected. We will welcome a maximum of 10 teams on the hackathon. So you will be receiving messages from me by May 4th in the evening, telling you if your team has been accepted to the hackathon. You will receive onboarding information and more details about how the hackathon is going to go. Before the hackathon, we have an online step, which is what we call Meet Mentors. It's a meeting that we organize, so teams and the experts that are going to be on hackathon, helping them develop their application can meet and already discuss the needs of the teams, their project ideas, and already help them do the research, get familiar with the technology, and just be overall more prepared and ready to really hit it when we start the hackathon and put your real development spirit to get some running first applications by the end of the hackathon. And of course, May 13th to 15th is the actual hackathon. You will see all the information about it online, but the hackathon itself is on site. You will get quality support. We will have some other tools to be able to communicate during the hackathon with the other participants and mentors. If not everyone, especially the mentors, are able to stay on site for the whole day, so you remain in touch with them and have access to their support. How to find a great team? Well, most likely, if you already have an AI application, you have people you're working on it with. So this would probably be your best team. So try to motivate your colleagues, the people from your company, the people you code with, your open source application, to decide and join the hackathon. If you register, you can get access to the list of people who have already registered, and maybe you can decide to join a team that would be in need of extra members and skills and ideas to overcome their problem, or to figure out how to benefit from the technology for their application. Everything can be mediated through the registration platform. Once again, I'm just going to show this right after, how you can actually contact interesting profiles to add them to your team, or contact interesting teams so they would add you to their team. But like I said, the first steps and probably the best step is to reach out to your network if you're interested in participating in a hackathon, colleagues, schoolmates, friends, people with similar interest in AI and HPC would make wonderful teammates. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how to register to the platform and be one of our potential participants for the hackathon. So the first step is to go on the hackathon website, which is just here. So ultrahack.org/AI-HPC. Then you have all the information you need about the hackathon. So what is the challenge about, a bit of background about why this project is happening and why we are welcoming you. So what we've been covering during this webinar earlier with the partner presentation, some more information and motivation for you to join, the format of the hackathon, the resources that will be provided to you. We already have names of the mentors and judges that will be on the hackathon, providing support and looking at how far you've come with their application, and then more information and partners. So if you want to take it a good read and take all this information in on your own time, this is here for you. What is of interest to us regarding registration is what's on the right-hand side, the Join as Follows section. Here, you just fill the form, very straightforward. My name is Anne. my last name. If I want, I can put a picture, a bit about your address. So we don't need your actual home address. It's about more to know where you're located at. So since it's the on-site hackathon, so we have a better idea of where people are coming from, and we could also help and advise for transportation, how to get to the hackathon, if we kind of know where you're located at. So I'm just going to put some blurb here. City, once again, for the same reason, it's an on-site hackathon, so we will be providing food. So if you have some dietary restrictions, like very bad allergies, we would like to know about it, so we are sure you are covered for. Then information about yourself, what's your professional level with the subject matter. If you want to offer more, if you want to use more tags to let us know kind of what's your qualification, how you could fit in a team, what could be like your role or expertise in it. You have extra tags here available. Always click that you actually are interested in joining the hackathon. Then you can write more information about yourself in your own words, a little introduction. So people that are looking for a team, or when you are looking for a team, you already have that nice introduction ready for them. Finally, phone with country code. For instance, for me, it's Finland, so it's +358, and then phone number, same thing. So we can contact you easily if you're selected, and make sure you're able to join, and we can arrange all the practicalities with you. And then demographics, basic. Then you can submit, and there you go. You have registered. What you can do once you have registered, as you can see, the bar has changed, and there is all the types of content it's asking for. So this is the submission or the project ID, however you want to call it. So here you can give a name to your use case and tell us a bit more what it is about. So it's related to the health industry, and I don't know, the detecting diseases. And my problem is blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to try to solve that thanks to that great technology you're providing. Once again, make sure to once again confirm that it's an ID for this specific hackathon, and you can submit it. There you go. You have registered to the hackathon, and you have created a project ID around which you can now form a team. How can you form your team around your project ID? Well, it's quite easy. If we go back to my use case team, there we go. So here I have my use case team. I can give, once again, more tag about who my team is. Am I a startup? Am I starting from scratch? It's totally new application ID. I'm just doing that on the side, and I will probably be using the use case provided by the organizers. You can give more information about the technology you'll be using or needed, especially like Lucas said, if you have large data sets, you would like us to already have available for you. But the most important part is building your team. So here you can type the name of your colleagues or whoever is joining your team. So I'm just going to put my colleague Jana that has already registered. I'm clicking the little plus to add her to my team, and always update once I'm done doing any kind of modification. So the update is registered, and now in my team, there is also Jana. You need your colleagues, friends, co-workers, class schoolmates to register at least as individuals to the platform. They don't have to submit an ID to be able to add them to your team. If they have not already registered as individuals, you won't be able to add them there. We can help facilitate that, and I will be monitoring all of the nice project IDs we are getting in and making sure that you are building a team, or if you already have a team, that we are getting the information of everyone so we know you have a team and who's going to be able to join the hackathon. But this is for the submissions. If you don't have a team and you're looking for a team, Well, first of all, once again, you need to register as an individual interested in the hackathon, and then you can just look at the projects that are available. For instance, you could be looking at my use case here and be like, this sounds like a great team. I'm gonna request them join the team. So for that, you just have to click the request to join button, and you can send a message to that team, letting them know who you are, how you could participate and support them in developing their use case. And hopefully it works out for you and you are accepted to the team. The other way around, you have a team, but you might be alone or just two of you and you would like to be more hands on deck, more chances to succeed. Then what you can do is go to the participants tab, same thing. You can look at profiles, read what people have said about themselves, what's their experience and their tags, and then you can just message them. It opens a nice box. You say whatever you want, and then you send the message, and it will go directly to their email. This way you guys are able to communicate by email without us having to disclose email, so your personal information is always safe and following GDPR requirements, just so you know. So here you have it. That's how you use the platform and how you register on it. Ingredients to a winning team. The earlier you start searching for members, the more likely you are to have a full team and all the skills you need at hand. We'd advise a team size to be between 3 and 5. That's according to experience, how the work is the best divided, and teams that have the best results are usually 3 to 5 team members. You should obviously focus on having similar interest in the challenge, in the technology, in solving the problem or improving your use cases, complementary skill sets. You don't need to be proficient at everything. If you have someone in the team that is more of a project manager, it's very important too. So you know that things are going to keep moving forward and you can keep track. But of course, on this hackathon, it's very important that you have people with the technical know-how, at least basic technical know-how on how to program this application, because of course you'll be provided mentoring and support and training on how to use the technology provided. But if you don't have the basic know-how to receive this mentoring and training, you won't be able to develop your application much. And finally, our advice is always to include a diversity of perspectives. So if you're not a full team and someone comes in and tells you, hey, I think it would be a good fit. I've worked similar industry, but I have a very different angle on things. I come from a different background. I would strongly advise you to welcome them into the team, because it's going to muster conversation and a different idea and synergies, and it's always providing very interesting, innovative results. So keep that in mind. Specificities of our event. First of all, it's an on-site event. You might be thinking, finally, we get to see people after these years of Corona. The location is in Berlin Center. More information about the actual address will be provided to all participants, and the website will be updated soon with this information. Like I said, all meals will be provided for from the opening to the closing. There's possibility to sleep on site and have a real code cave experience. So you can grill your sleeping bag, your overnight bag, and everything you need, and not actually book a hotel and spend the time on site with your team and get to meet the other participants. Gonna have a great mood, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun, which is also the point of hackathons. And finally, well, amazing mentoring and networking with potentials face to face throughout the event, as everyone will be there on site. Other aspect that has been already largely covered, but I'm going to repeat it again. Access to amazing technology resources with the latest hardware and software in the domain. And of course, it's not just on the hackathon, but it's for at least 3 months after the hackathon. And I think that's an amazing opportunity for you to keep learning about it, developing your application, and really, really bridge the gap between what you thought you could do and what is actually going to happen. It's not just 48 hours sprint, it's also see the long run here in the opportunities you're provided. As also has been mentioned earlier, the team will receive cutting edge atlas, edge station, and but more information about our evaluation process. So the first team will first be evaluated based on the pitch. So we will ask you to present what you've been doing on the hackathon, what's the progress you've been making. And then the judges will take a look at your code to get a better grasp of what you've done. No one will copy anything from your code or retain any information that's private to you. It's just to take a look and see how things have changed and to be able to assess what use you've made of the technology and the progress you've made and how useful this whole hackathon process has been for you and your application. So no need to worry about this here. It's just a peek and no information will be retained after the hackathon. It's all yours. And then we'll have a quick deliberation and the judges will pick the best team. And of course, we'll be providing detailed evaluation criteria if you're worried about it by the time of team selection. We won't let you go in hoping to win your station without knowing how you should work towards that goal. Our next steps together after this meeting, like I said, sign up, create your profile, create your team. If you have people that are interested in joining with you, or if you have a great application use case ID you would like to develop, registration deadline is May 3rd by midnight. And then we have May 4th in the evening, team selection will be announced. So we will let you know if you made it in. And if you haven't, we also let you know. We don't let anyone in the dark. If you have any struggle with the platform, understanding the hackathon, anything, you can always reach out to our team, me, with this email address, or my colleague Jana, that will also be on the line today. And we'll be there to help you out and answer any of your practical questions. For the technical questions about the challenge, the technology, now is the time. We have with us Lucas on the line who can answer your technical questions. So don't be shy, ask away. I had been sent a question during the presentation, so I'm just going to start with that. If you're still a bit unsure about opening your microphone and asking your question, but really, no issue. You can just open the microphone and ask. But we've been asked what kind of domains can my application be part of? So Lucas, what kind of domains?
Yeah, so really any domain. So we don't have any constraints on that. As long as you think such computer resources or our advice can help you reach your goals, any domain is fine. Okay, great. Well, there you have it. Total freedom. We are not discriminating based on the domain or industry. Another question was related to how the participants will be scored. Like I mentioned, this information will come to you real soon and will be available. It's still to be finalized, so we're asking just about a couple more days of patience. We'll give you that information about complete detail of the scoring process and how you can win this great edge station. Do we have any other questions on the line? No? Well, if not, feel free to keep sending us your question by email, even though they are technical questions. We will forward it to the more technical team like Lucas and get you the answers you need to be able to build your team
and your use case. We are really looking forward to seeing your applications and welcoming you on the hackathon. Have a good rest of the day, everyone.